Ready?
We're
I
on.
think it's going. Okay. This is The Brave and the Bold, number 196 from March in 1983. And I think The Brave and the Bold was, because we have some of those other ones, and I think it was like a team-up book with mostly Batman, I want to say. This one has Batman and Ragman. Do you remember much about Ragman?
No, not at all. I know I've read it, but...
I know, he sounded familiar to me, but they recap his origin a little bit in this issue. And then I was reading a little bit on Wikipedia about him. But, yeah, this came out, 4 years before I was even born.
I was in college.
So this must have been one of yours, or your mom's?
My mom's.
Really?
Yeah, because once I hit college, I didn't have the time to read comic books as much.
Probably didn't have the money either.
Or the money. So, but my mom kept buying them and adding to the collection. And so when I would go home for like Christmas break and stuff, then we'd catch up on all the comics.
Did Taurus Comics exist when you were in college?
I don't think so.
Did Marquette have a comic shop?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I had a dream the other day that Taurus Comics was reopening.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. I like the way that they stylize his name, his title card with the little rags. Yeah. And I like the orange Batman. That you don't see that very often anymore because Batman.
Yeah.
Like the modern Batman.
Red.
Yeah, the modern Batman's more like black and gray, and this one's blue and gray.
I like the simple
use color more.
Graphics in the cover too. Like there's just like it's simplified. You see where he's at. You can make out where he's at, but it's not. There's not too much.
I know. I feel like if they had made the cityscape like higher, if there was more happening there, it would be too much. But there's enough like negative space there where it's nice.
Yeah, I like it.
There's a couple parts in this comic where Ragman's cape kind of reminds me of like Spawn or something from the 90s that has all the detail on the ragged part of the cape.
Yeah,
like they really exaggerated it in the 90s, but that's kind of made me wonder maybe that was an influence on it or something.
I also like on his glove, the little spikies.
Yeah. You don't see
it.
Real stylized. I feel like you don't get to see him use them that often. I would be stabbing people all the time with that. Why even punch somebody when you can just stab them?
People. Look at Ragman's hands, though. They're huge.
His fingers are really long.
His fingers are really long.
And I feel like those little fins or the spikes should be bigger difference in size. Like they're almost even in length. You'd want it to scale. Yeah, you graduate it so you can hit somebody with the side of your arm and catch them with each one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Better for slashing. That's more like perfect for stabbing.
Is that supposed to make him look more like a bat, do you think? Is that where that came from? Because there's like the little spikes of the wings in his logo. Because it's like, I don't think bats
maybe
have things
claws,
on
but
their
his
arm.
hands are like claws. Yeah, I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know, but yeah, Ragman's hands are huge. If you consider how buff Batman is, and look at how big. I mean,
well, I think that's what they're trying to do in this comic. Is Ragman, believe it or not, I don't think people think he's as cool as Batman. So they have him saving Batman on the cover, and the whole issue is about how he saves Batman's ass. And it makes him seem cooler by comparison. Like, oh, he can even save Batman when he's in a jam. Otherwise, I don't know if people are going to be flocking to read Ragman. Batman, just kind of propping him up here. I really like the Ragman character design, but I will say that his hood is just a little too long. It makes him look a little goofy.
Yeah,
especially it's sticking straight up. Because in this, I guess it's sticking straight up, but it makes me. It's like the cape. It makes me think that the wind is catching it and filling it up behind him. But here, I guess his cape is billowing a little bit, so there's a draft or something. But it's like all the wind got up in his hoodie, and it's like sticking up in a cone. It's a weird look. I feel like if you had made it shorter, he would be a little cooler or a little less. It makes him look like a kind of comedic. It makes him look a little goofy to me.
Yeah, the patchwork uniform is a little goofy, especially the leopard print kind of thing on his arm. And on his shoulder. I'm not a fan.
They should have like a little patch where it's like fake fur, and
yeah.
then like one that's like pleather or something, like really mixed materials. Look, a Marvel ad in a DC comic. The hell?
Wow.
It's for a Spider-Man video. I don't think I've ever played that one. Look at those graphics.
Thwomp. That's
I wonder
great.
if it really has the
graphics.
blam
I bet they do.
in the game, or if that's just makes it
You
more like a
expect
comic
it.
book.
Someone of my age, you would expect it, because I grew up watching, what's
for
his name
Atari.
on Batman in the 70s.
Adam West.
Adam West, yeah. So you expect to see those graphics.
That looks like a pretty good game. So anyway, this one has. I noticed this is a pretty short issue, but it's got parts. Like the part 1 is this little prologue that's like about how dirty the city is. I guess the theme with Ragman is he must live in the really bad part of Gotham. Like Gotham, I feel like is always depicted as really dangerous and like overridden with crime, but he's in like the worst part, I guess. He's in the crappiest part.
So is he like Mr. Clean's cousin, Ragman?
Yeah.
He's like,
And there's arrogant rats. It says it's inhabited by arrogant rats.
arrogant rats.
I know. There's an arrogant rat. Look at that bastard.
I
He's so
love
arrogant.
the writing, man. Back in the day, I mean, 83 isn't that long ago, but I mean, arrogant rats. You don't get that in a movie,
Well, yeah, I feel like some of this narration stuff is like a noir movie or something.
Yeah,
it's
great.
very pulpy. See, it's that hat. It's so long. Even if it was that tall, I'd be like, a little too much, Ragman. But he's like, whoop. Why not just go to the top of the page at that point?
Well,
It's
I mean,
so
like, how
high.
tall is he? Does he have to think subconsciously? Does he have to keep in the back of his head when he's running into buildings, like duck or?
Or you think he's self-conscious that he's not taller. And he's like, this will scare everyone. They're not afraid of Ragman, but if they see this cone on my head, you think he's got like some chicken wire on the inside to make sure it's always taut.
He's got a hanger in there.
So the whole plot of this lady is kidnapped. It's like a Patty Hearst thing, I guess. Nina Norwood is like, it says it's the daughter of owner of Norwood Publishing Empire, still prisoner of the terrorist DFD, Dynamiters for Democracy.
That sounds effective.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing here, I guess. So Ragman is walking along, and he sees this explosion, and he sees somebody fall, and he catches. I guess he must have super strength or something, or else that would really mess him up to catch Batman. But that's the whole inciting incident is, he's walking along, and suddenly an explosion happens, and Batman was about to die if it wasn't for Ragman here. That's kind of a weird pose he's got going there.
Yeah.
But,
it's the Batman.
One thing I noticed about the dialogue and like the thought bubbles, even in this narration, there's a lot of ellipses. It's weird. I don't know if they do it for the rhythm, but why not just use like a period or a semicolon or something? Like to me, like the ellipses, it's the most effective when like you're trying to give somebody a beat to pause, like the character's thinking about something.
Yeah.
Or they're unsure or something. But to me, it's like when you overuse it, I don't know, it's just like it breaks up the rhythm in a weird
It might be.
way.
It might kind of be also like a cultural thing, or like I don't want to say like a generational thing, but I remember as a kid, you would use those all the time. It
Like
was
just writing on paper?
yeah, you'd write
Really?
like if you were writing something you wanted to like drama, or you wanted to like make it more important or something, you like dot dot dot.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That
like,
explains a lot, because I feel like I see when older people text, they use ellipses a lot more than younger people, and to me it makes it sound like ominous of like they're expecting
yeah,
like like they're pointing out something obvious you should have noticed, or they're writing with expectation that you have a response, but it's not. Sometimes it's not clear what they're looking for.
Yeah,
so maybe it is a generational thing.
It might just be.
Like I can see it here because it's continuing the description. So you start with the ellipses to be like, this is still part of the same thought. But when it interrupts, the own like time freezes. The plummeting figure struggles against the irresistible embrace of velocity and disintegrating death. Like why like there velocity? Why not just say a velocity and disintegrating death? What is it? What is it adding to put two or three dots there? You
to
know?
me, that's like death, but
well, it's irresistible embrace of velocity and disintegrating death.
Yeah, it's like
they're both bad.
And then a quarter an inch later, it's like then.
Maybe I wonder if it's like a centering thing too for when they put the text in. Maybe it makes it look more uniform or geometric. Well, it's not really what's going on here though. But it was one thing I was wondering about.
I don't know. I mean, I see them and it doesn't call out to me that that's overkill. That's used too much. It's like. And
you don't notice it after a while, but it was just something I was thinking about.
And it might be because my uncles, when they would babysit me when I was a kid and stuff, they would read comic books to me. So I kind of learned how to read some in comic books.
Is that why you're always taking awkward pauses in the middle of your sentences? It's better than just saying ... out loud. This one was written by Robert... What is that? Kaniger, it looks like, and Jim Aparo. I'm not familiar with either of those people.
No, me either.
Makes me wonder how often people like worked in comics for a little while and then just had like a whole other life, because it probably doesn't, unless you're a superstar writer or artist, it probably doesn't pay that well. I wonder how many people do that. So anyway, Batman passed out and he's all injured, and the terrorists are like, I guess they weren't sure he died after that explosion went flying out the window, so they come ripping around the corner and they're shooting at Ragman. They throw a Molotov cocktail at him.
Wow.
But it doesn't hit him, I guess.
Whoa, is his cape like bulletproof?
It looks like that shot's going through it. And I was reading, and I think they were talking about how they retconned this character. Originally, he was like an Irish guy that was in Vietnam, and then more recently in the 90s they changed it to give him Jewish descent, and they made it so his rag costume like consumes people's souls or something.
Whoa.
That's what Wikipedia said. So I don't think that was a part of the character here, but I think he does have, I was reading and I think he does have some superpowers, so I'm not sure if it's his suit or what.
That's intense though. That's like ...
One thing I really like...
your soul.
One thing I really like... Hey, this has dots in it, too. Even the gum ad. One thing I like is all the old ads in these.
Well, I mean, because look at his face. That's not expressive
that one.
enough.
He's all pissed off at that one. You're enjoying that gum a little too much.
Told you.
I don't think I've even seen this type of gum. Maybe when I was a kid. Do they still make bubble yum?
I don't know.
Really
it was
look
big,
for gum
soft
when I'm
gum.
at the store.
Oh, the grape was great, too.
I like this lizard, too, advertised for the comic convention. I feel like when you draw the lizard this way, with no teeth, he's just not that scary. He's going to gum you. Like, he'd bite you, and you'd be like, ow. If you had teeth, that would have broken my skin. It still didn't feel good, lizard. But...
Or did it?
I feel like nowadays they go too, like they give them like 3 rows of teeth, the modern lizard.
Oh, yeah.
They make them all super intimidating, but this is too much in the other direction where it's like, I guess some lizards probably don't have teeth, but I don't know.
He's intense. Maybe he's got like acid saliva.
I remember seeing these when I was a kid and looking at the different ads and stuff, and 2 things I really always wanted to do is get a monthly comic subscription, and you guys never let me get one.
Because I got one in college. Really? And they would come sometimes beat up.
Oh, really?
And I just didn't want to...
I got plenty of comics from the store and stuff, and I also always thought about how cool it would be to go to a comic convention from things like this.
Oh,
and I was like, but the cities, I think we went to Chicago when I was like 10 or something, or maybe a little older. But I never had been to a city. But now I have been to comic conventions, so.
You've been to the Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I always thought that was
yeah,
cool.
I want to go
Yeah,
to
I
a
wanted
comic
a monthly
convention.
comic subscription so bad. I don't know why now in hindsight why it was so important to me. I think I just thought it would be cool to get them in the mailbox. You don't have to go anywhere. You just get them directly in your mailbox. But, yeah, they probably would have bent it up and stuff.
I think mine was Moon Knight in college because I was
Oh,
drawing
really?
Moon Knight a lot.
We've got a lot of Moon Knights downstairs. So anyway, they throw another Molotov cocktail at Ragman, and he catches it and throws it back at their car. I like this little sequence. It's cool, like the zigzag.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to, like they just showed just the very back of it. So it's like there's like a still camera.
Oh,
or
yeah, and there's
perspective.
movement. There's,
Yeah.
you know, from the, I mean, you can,
I love the way the car isn't like in the panel fully, like it's going through the panel. That's a really cool way to show the action.
yeah.
Because they easily could have finished this panel or had this fit or maybe just cut off part of the car, but that's a cool way to give it like
I like how
motion.
they split the panel here, too.
Yeah, it makes it look like he's throwing it into the next panel. It's
Yeah.
really cool. I like the way that the sound effect letters go outside of the box
Yeah.
too. That's really cool. So anyway, I guess he just kills all those people. I mean, they were going to kill him. He says those
What are
who
you
play
gonna
with
do?
fire end up getting their hides burned. I've never heard that. He says it like it's something people say. It's like, maybe that's your saying, Ragman. Your hides burned? It's a weird thing. Their hides? I wouldn't have said hide. That's my main issue with it. So he's dead. And, and I like to say, fire and explosives, that's the MO of the DFD. And it says, MO, method of operation. That's from the editor, Len Wein. Put that in there. That's how he made his paycheck back then. It's like, I'm going to
Wait a
explain
minute.
something everyone already knows. And I get $10,000 for that one. I thought it was modus operandi or something. It was like a Latin.
But that would be the Latin, yeah.
Well, if you're going to take time to like, I guess it's for kids, so he's probably. But they say MO in like crime shows all the time and stuff, so I feel like people are familiar with that. It wasn't worth defining.
Yeah,
like, what's the
but
killer's
you grew
MO?
up. You grew up with a lot more crime shows on TV than, you know. This is '83. I mean, in the '70s, you had, what's his what's his name? We can rebuild him, Jim.
Oh, the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, $1 Million Man, Bionic Woman, or
Or is it the $6 million
$6
Man?
million, yeah.
It's some number.
and you had like
He was a cop.
A-Team. No, but I mean,
But like
those
he
are
fought
kind
crime.
of those are the kind of shows that you had. You didn't have like all the criminal, you know,
Like Law and Order and
Law
all
and
that.
Orders, and
Yeah.
you know, all the crime stuff that you have now. So everybody knows all
What about
the shortcuts.
What's that one? Dragnet.
Oh yeah, I remember that when I was a little kid. That we watched reruns of that. That was intense. That was scary. You were
I don't
scared
think
to
I've
get
ever
a
seen
ticket.
it.
'Cause it was
Really? I don't think I've seen it. I just know the theme song is cool.
And Chips, that was one when the California Highway Patrol.
Oh, they
when I was a little
rebooted
kid.
that. That's like, I think it came out a couple of years ago. Anyway, that's the weird thing I was going to point out is, see, we're in part 2 already. This is Lethal Lightning. So these few pages are part 1. Let's see. Part 1 is The Two Faces of Midnight, which you would think it's like going to be a
Fire
Two-Face
Night.
story because it's Batman, Two-Face, but no. It's these terrorists. And they never really, at least from what I remember, they never really explain what the terrorists want. They're dynamiters for democracy.
What democracy,
And so
man?
I
No.
thought they already had it. They don't have to be dynamiting everyone. And then Lethal Lightning, and I think that comes from the little flashback, the lightning part, because there's not a lot of lightning in this second part. So anyway, Ragman's friend, this lady, Opal, picks up Ragman. She's like, put Batman in the back of my convertible, and I'll take you home. I
Like
think
she has to
knows.
say it's convertible? It's
She
a-
doesn't say. I just
Okay.
said that to paraphrase. Oh, and she makes Ragman kiss her. She's like, "You're not getting out of this car until you give me a peck on the face here, on the
Are you
lips." Yeah, she says, "My fare, please. Don't be stingy."
That's
Meanwhile,
weird.
Batman's clinging to life. And she's like, "Can you guys hurry up? I'm almost dead." You know, I see these in so many of our old comics, this exact ad, and nowadays I like the weird art style here, but I have to say this would never make me want to play Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. It just
Really?
It doesn't look that exciting. They should have a guy with a sword fighting a dragon, or a guy casting a spell or something. It's just like a group of 3 travelers in an alley, and then these kids
got a glove on the back.
Is it a cobblestone street? No, it's not. Roll to see if you trip or something. Make it look more exciting, I think. The adventure is yours. You could be that weird-looking guy.
I would be, yeah. Yeah.
Is that a peg leg or a walking stick he's got? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but look, it's got like hands, and then the other one's a peg leg.
That is weird.
That would freak me out. That's weird.
That would make you want to play?
Oh, is she's on a horse.
Yeah, you thought you... It kind of, now that you mention it, there's not like a depth perception, and if you miss this, if you think that's just part of her torso or her shirt,
yeah, that's
it kind of just looks like she's a centaur but with no back half. She's just
I
like,
thought
I'm
she had
horse leg, like a satyr or something.
Like pajama pants with a spore on or something.
With really narrow ankles.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Either way, it would not make me want to play D&D.
So he's actually not that short.
Yeah, I guess. This guy's pretty tall. Yeah, he's pretty... But also, I feel like they should represent the different classes. I think this must be an elf. Yeah. But these guys are hard. They look very similar to me. I don't know if they're dwarves or what.
Yeah, they're too big to be dwarves. That guy's got no neck.
Well, he could be a tall dwarf. He's a regular dwarf.
Could be 2 dwarves.
2 dwarves stacked on top of each other. Yeah. So anyway, this is where you learn a little bit about Ragman. So that's what I think these team-ups are all about, is like give a popular character, they kind of bolster the lesser-known character. Because there's really not a lot of Batman going on in this. So you learn that Ragman was Sergeant Regan. I think his name's Rory Regan. Just like all the superhero names are like alliterative. Bruce Banner and Peter Parker. Rory Regan, he was in Vietnam, and he was helping his wounded buddy there, and a guy was going to throw a grenade at him, but it went off early. The Viet Cong grenade obliterated Sergeant Regan's pursuers and showered him with their geysering blood. I love their geysering. So I just picture like the stumps of their hands are just shooting blood everywhere. But he has PTSD. He said he keeps washing, but the blood won't come off his hands. So he goes home after the war, and his dad and his buddies are like ne'er-do-wells. They're like drunk guys. I guess his dad owned like a junkyard.
Okay.
And it says that Rory's father and his cronies, ex-circus strongman, an ex-heavyweight contender, and an ex-famed acrobat. So they all have these skills, but they all lost their jobs, I guess.
Wow.
So that's these guys. And one day, his dad and his drunk friends find all this money in a mattress. He says, "It's raining $1,000 bills." Like they were big bills, I guess. It was convenient that they had such large currency, so they didn't have to have very much of it. So, but this is where it gets a little weird, because there's this frame of them finding the money, and it says they're like, several hours later, they're waiting for Rory to get home to just tell them the good news. This guy walks up and he shoots at them, and it doesn't look like it hits anybody, and he's like, "Tell me where the money is." And then I think this guy that was just shooting gets shot in the back.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And then more guys come and start shooting. They shoot the bottle out of his dad's hand.
So was it a mob find or something? Like, because they only...
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that. It was in a mattress, and like, it must have been the mob. They were, help me hide this beautiful green stuff somewhere else. When Rory comes home, I'll tell him he's a millionaire. He'll respect me then. I love that part, like... He's so desperate for his son's approval, I guess. Yeah, he says the mob. The mob must have stashed this hot loot inside the mattress to pick up when things cooled off. Which is, I guess I just wonder, why have the first guy come and shoot at them immediately? He's like, "Pow, tell me where the money's." Like, "Pow," like, ask him first and then shoot once. Like, maybe they'll tell you. You don't have to shoot at him as you're asking.
Yeah.
But why have him get shot and then have 3 more guys?
Maybe he's the one that stole it from the mob. and hit it.
I think that's what's implied. I just mean for the story.
Oh, I
Why
see.
not just have the 3 guys who are like, hey, we heard that McGillicuddy here, we already killed him off panel, but we're going to... Like, they have to have, hey, I'm going to shoot you, and they're like, wait, no, I get shot, and the new guys come to shoot him. It's like, it seems like the middleman isn't necessary there. Like,
It builds tension, though. It makes it a little scarier, you know.
You're like, hey, who's that guy that we can't see
They're
his
willing
face?
to
Oh, he's
kill-
dead already.
Yeah, well, they're willing to kill one of their own.
That is
You
a
know?
good point.
That makes it seem
It makes
like...
it seem like they're in deeper trouble.
Yeah.
I thought him shooting at them immediately was enough. Tell me where.
Oopsie.
Maybe he shoots like his ellipses. So he's like, hey, you over there. Tell me where the loot is. That hot loot. Things have cooled off. So anyway, I guess they don't want to tell him. So they're just like, kick rocks. And this is the funny part. He's like, shoot those live wires down. So instead of being like, hey, we're going to shoot you if you don't tell us, they're like, shoot the wires above these guys' heads, electrocuting them all. That'll make them tell us. Yeah, it seems unnecessarily dangerous. And they're dying. So why are they? They're not going to tell you where the money is. They're actively being electrocuted. And he's like, talk and we'll pull you out. It's like, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think you'd be like, okay, now that you told us where it is, you can.
Well, and they want to emphasize that, being a bad guy doesn't make you the smart guy in the room.
That's true. Clearly not. But, okay, so Rory, he's the Ragman. He comes home, and he grabs this tire. So he's thinking, it's like, okay, it's an insulated thing. But this guy's like, nah, I'm going to shoot the tire out of your hand. And so Rory goes to grab him with his bare hand. He's like, I'll rescue you, Dad. And then he gets electrocuted. So they're all getting electrocuted, and the bad guys think they all died. So they just like, we'll never find that money now. It's like, well, maybe you should have tried torturing them instead of just killing them all immediately if you really wanted that money. But they don't show how he recovers, but he survived. So he's okay. And on Wikipedia, they explain that I think he absorbed the abilities of those other men, the ex-strongman, ex-acrobat, and like a prize fighter or something.
Yeah.
So he has like the ability to fight and be strong now. Earlier he was saying, wait till my son gets home, I have a birthday present. So he gave him the Ragman costume. And I thought this was just like part of this comic of the unique costume of a tatterdemalion. And I was like, wow, what a word to use. But it turns out that's what they call him regularly. On Wikipedia, say also known as the tatterdemalion, Ragman, known as the I was like, okay, I guess that's part of his.
That's a weird gift. Did they ever go into why he gave it to him?
No. So he inherited it from his dad, and I think on Wikipedia it said something where like, it's like I think they retconned it to be like a spiritual, like it has some connection to the golem in Jewish mythology.
Yep.
Like Ragman, it's some kind of spiritual soul-eating costume or something, but they don't get into it here.
Okay.
And so he takes possession of the junk shop or the junkyard or whatever, the junkyard swap shop. And so all these people come, he's like, this grandfather clock's not working. He's like, take this and fix it. And he's just giving everybody all that money that his dad died over. And he's like, my bird doesn't sing. And he's like, buy him some bird seed. Here's $1,000 bill.
Get him some singing
like, wow,
lessons.
I think the bird seed's only $1, sir. She was going to pawn her wedding ring. He's like, here, wear it for 50 more years. And I guess this is his love interest, Betty Berg. She's a newswoman.
She looks like Sue Storm, doesn't she?
She looks exactly like Sue Storm. And
really
she's
angry
mad
Sue
because
Storm.
he won't leave the junk shop. And he's like, I can't leave these people, Betty. They need someone to ... to remind them they're not forgotten human junk. I was like, oh my god. He's like, here's $1,000 bill. Buy some birdseed, you human junk. If it wasn't for me, these people would. It's like he does all these nice things, but then he's got to say that. It's like, I don't think they thought they were human junk, Ragman.
Sir, my human junk of a
He's
bird
kind of got a
can't
superiority. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a complex. I think that's why he likes being Ragman, is so he can look down at all these other people.
He can rag on people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's like, if you really wanted to help these people, you get out and fight for them. He's like, you're right, I will. That's the Ragman. So I wonder if there were, this is like a shorter, condensed version of like his, just to get you up to speed with Ragman. So anyway, Batman is all banged up and he's like trying to be tough. He's like, it's just a cracked rib and a minor concussion. And so
walk it off, Batman.
He was talking about how he walked into a trap. He's trying to find that kidnapped girl that the dynamiting Democrats or whatever, the Dynamiters for Democracy set a TNT trap for him. And that kind of gets us to
TNT.
Exactly. That was in a Run DMC song, I think. And my favorite part is coming up here. Are we still good on that? Okay, cool. I made it a little bit crooked, didn't I? That's okay. So, there they go with the tattered Demillion again. Melts into the shadows. So they discuss how they have a similar goal. Oh yeah, that's right. So that his friend, the love interest Betty, comes and she's like, "Oh, I came to tell Rory about something with something important. I think it was about the Dynamiters." And he's like, "Try me." It's like, if that's your alter ego, maybe you'd be like, "Oh, I don't know who that is. Be gone with you." You know, like be all aloof. So it's like he's kind of like, "Well, maybe if you tell me, he might find out through the grapevine."
He's like, "Try me." I mean, try me.
Oh, this is my favorite panel we're getting to. So anyway, they discover that they need to go after the Dynamiters, and he's like, "No, Batman, you need to take a nap." He's like, "You're in no shape to go out there," and he says, "You're still in no condition to go, Batman. I'll take your place. They're looking for me, not Ragman." Which I don't understand what he's trying to say there. Like, Ragman can also fight them in his own costume.
Yeah.
Why does he have to go as the person that they've been fighting just for consistency? They're like, "Oh, this new guy's got a different costume. I'm not going to fight him. I refuse to do it. I only fight Batman." It was confusing, but this is my favorite part because he's like, "Okay, we'll switch costumes." And it's like it wasn't just a onesie that they just pulled off in one move, like whoop. And they both get bare ass naked, I guess, in front of each other. And this is now Ragman, this is a very, look at that exaggerated pose. No one runs like that. He looks like he's gonna fall over.
Well, maybe you don't.
Ragman's drunk or something. Look at him. How could he balance like that?
Yeah,
That's insane.
that is odd.
And the one thing I wish they would do more often when they do costumes switching is like you see the shape of his chin and his face, but when it's Ragman, it looks the same. You're telling me that Ragman doesn't have a slightly different chin shape than Batman? That would be great if one of the thugs, I was like, "Hey, Batman, I didn't notice that weird little
snaggletooth."
Yeah, we must have knocked it loose with that dynamite. Oh, this is another time when Ragman looks down on all the poor people. It says, "While glittering stars vainly clothe the impenetrable canopy of smoke and pollution over the city, Ragman passes one of the lost tribe of women who forage in garbage cans and carry their private dreams in shopping bags. Human ants, as oblivious of the world as the world is of them." And I thought that this lady would come into play later and be like she was in disguise or like she like worked with Ragman and gave him information. But no, they just have this one panel of Ragman running through the city just to look at this poor woman and be like, "You're a human ant."
Just to rub it in.
Yeah, it's like he's supposed to be the champion of the poor people, but he kind of looks down on them. Like all the descriptions are calling him human garbage and stuff. It's like, damn, she's already eating garbage. You don't have to rub it in. Anyway, so he goes back to the place where the terrorists are or whatever, the Dynamiters, and they're surprised to see him so quickly. Batman thinks he's a kamikaze. They actually use kamikaze like 3 times in this comic. And so he just jumps at him. He punches both in one. Well, don't tell me how he lands. I'm not really sure. Just face first into the ground after punching them. It was worth it. I got that snaggletooth, but it's okay. And then this lady's prepared to die. "We're not afraid to die." And she just like throws a close range grenade at him. And he's like, "Oh, that was like when the Viet Cong threw a grenade at me." They're trying to like connect it to his backstory, I guess. And I don't know. It just says later. Like, he avoids dying, clearly. I don't know if that lady died, if that's implied. But he's like, later he comes staggering back, and he's like, man, it sucks being Batman. And then Batman's in the Ragman costume. I really wish, if this was a modern comic or like a movie, I feel like they would have addressed, like, it's kind of stinky in here. The Ragman one, he's like, Ragman, it kind of smells like BO in your costume. Like, I wouldn't want to wear somebody else's costume if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I think, like, Batman probably has, like, a freshening agent inside of his, like, because he's a rich guy, you know? He's probably got all the technology. In his belt, he probably has, like, a little thing that neutralizes all of his stink before he gives his costume. But Ragman, he's working on a budget here. That thing hasn't been washed in weeks. Probably made Batman sicker, actually.
Well, he's human trash.
Yeah. So then Batman in Ragman's costume then says, okay, well, I'll go out while you recover. So they don't, they don't fight together at the beginning at all. And now we'll stop to do this word search for lifesavers. Did you ever do these when you were a kid? Like, write on them, or were you afraid to draw in your comics?
I don't remember doing them.
I never would have as a kid, because after a certain age, I was like, I got to keep everything really nice, I would never want to draw on something like that. Batman as Ragman's meeting up with that reporter lady to get some hot tip about the dynamiters, I guess. There's an ad for Sergeant Rock.
We have a good
We have a few
stash of
Sergeant
those.
Rock. I like the art style in Sergeant Rock. It's a little gritty.
Yeah. Oh, they're good. I remember being a kid, and you'd have your favorites when we'd get our comics from the store on Friday night, and then you'd start reading them. You'd start with your favorites and work through, and then it's Sergeant Rock. But then you'd start reading it, and they were good. They pulled you in. It was good storytelling.
I don't remember Sergeant Rock that well, but one thing I do remember, at least from a couple of covers I was looking through, it seems like they emphasize the reality of war a little bit more than like G.I. Joe or something, because a lot of the covers are about like how war is hell and this is bad and all these ethical dilemmas and terrible conditions. I think that's cooler than like glorifying the military or whatever, being all pro.
But then again, I was in the generation that, the Vietnam War was on TV. It was on the news.
That's crazy.
Which hadn't happened before.
I always forget that the Vietnam War happened for a really long time. It was like one of the longest ones.
Yeah, I remember my dad's best friend was a prisoner of war. I remember when he came back, there was a huge, our town wasn't even a town, it was a village. It was that small. Like, our kindergarten through high school was all one building.
Wow.
And there were I graduated, I think there were 96 of us in the senior
Kindergarten
class.
through high school? So you had seniors in high school
No.
in the same building as a kid?
Yeah, but
in the same class?
Sometimes. On different ends of the building.
Wow.
But yeah, so it was really small, but I remember...
But you said 96 in the graduating class or the whole
in
building?
my graduating class.
Well, it's not that far off from Gwen. I think I had 100 or something in my graduating class.
Yeah. But I remember
Still
when he
pretty
came
small.
home, it was a big, huge parade, and it was in the 70s. It was...
It's weird talking to people who went to schools in the city, like around here, where there's people in their school they didn't ever meet or really know the name of. It's like, it's boggling to me, because everybody knew each other, whether you wanted to or not, when I was in school. Most often not. So anyway, we're getting towards the end here. They could have easily killed Batman in Ragman's costume here, but he had to get this little funny one-liner off. Spying on us, Ragman. The TFT sentences you to death. Sentence to be carried out immediately. Clearly not immediately, because he's got to give this little speech.
Got a dog.
And this guy, he's going to kamikaze him. I could have swore they used the word kamikaze again. But anyway, he comes running at him with a grenade. He could have just thrown it, but he's like holding it and running at him because he's reckless.
Could take him to hell.
That's a pretty cool action shot right there. That's pretty sweet. He's taking him to hell. He's like, I know I'm going, but you're coming with me. And this kind of facial drawing, it kind of reminds me of like the Roy Lichtenstein, like the romance comic shot panels or whatever that you see where he's like, he won't call or whatever. It's like the melodramatic kind of relationship comics. Oh, and then I wonder if they just copied that panel from like a few pages ago. It looks pretty similar. No, it is a different drawing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for them. They didn't save any money. So they switch costumes back, which just makes, there's got to be really stinky now. And they find out from this reporter.
Skid marks.
She thought that Ragman died, and he doesn't care to clear that up to her, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like, well, the skid marks were actually already there. And then they start fighting over it. Ragman, my worst enemy. Forget about the terrorists. We need to settle this. Anyway, they find out that they're robbing a bank. So that was the weird thing, too. The lady that got kidnapped, like the Patty Hearst kind of character, the rich lady who got kidnapped, is they go to the Norwood Bank, which I thought it was a Norwood. It says it's the Norwood Publishing Empire. So they're in publishing and banking. There's a really rich family. They publish books and stuff. They probably made Ragman's really tall cap. I swear it's getting longer.
It's like Pinocchio. I didn't put those skid marks in.
Maybe he just keeps snacks up there.
That's taller.
Just pulls an apple out. Ragman, it's not the time. Do you have a banana in there?
A Subway 12 foot long. $5.
Did you have to get a hot meatball sub, Ragman? I can smell it from here. So anyway, they, oh yeah, you're all expendable in our fight for democracy. And he smacks this woman. Ha, your kind of democracy is the Nazi brand. Oh yeah, Nazi democracy, huh? Whatever. Wow. So anyway, they go in. They're trying to foil this bank robbery. And this is the kidnapped lady, Nina Norwood. And the boss is like, hey, riddle those fools, soldier. He's telling them to tell her to shoot him, and she just hesitates. She's like, no, I can't. My favorite part is Ragman saying, look at her glazed eyes. She's been brainwashed to obey orders. Like, where we have a little dash there instead of the. Sometimes they use the double dash instead of the ellipses as a pause. I'm not really totally sure the rules on when to use the 3 dots and when to use the double dash. It seems to be somewhat arbitrary. But this seems like a huge missed opportunity because they have her break out of the brainwashing, and then this guy shoots her. I guess just one hits her, it looks like. The other 2 go by her. And Ragman's super impressed. He's like, my God, she took the burst meant for us. But I feel like they could have played up her struggle a little bit more. Yeah. I guess they were nearing the end of the comic, but it's like suddenly she's like, no, I'm not brainwashed anymore. I can't do it. When push comes to shove, she just can't kill them with the machine gun. But it's like, why were her eyes glazed? Do they mean that they put her on drugs to brainwash her? Or
maybe,
do you just
or
get
hypnotized
hazy
her,
eyes when you get hypnotized? Makes your eyes all glazed. So they beat him up and foil the bank robbery. And she lived. Apparently, she's in critical condition. And says, damn you, Batman. Are you too proud to pray for her after she saved our skins? And Batman sheds one tear. And he looks up at the moon. And he says, no, Nina, stop breathing. Question mark. That means that she's going to die, Batman. So yeah, I love Ragman's reaction. I guess that's the medical training he got in the army, is to just start pounding on her chest. And Batman's like, no, actually, I know CPR. And then she lives. It's like, actually, you don't punch someone in the chest to revive them. And then they say, well, it was nice sharing sweaty costumes with you. I'll see you next time. And so I thought that one was good. You know, even though I was making fun of it, it was fun to read. I like Ragman's eyes in that one. Know. He's got some good... they don't give Batman pupils. Giving Ragman pupils gives him a little bit more personality,
yeah, and then back when they see that it's her... Where was that? Yeah.
It makes him look a little derpy, though, I have to say. It gives him more expression... And I think they do that to Batman to make him more inscrutable, you know.
Well, they changed his cowl, though, you know, his cowl, his eyebrows and stuff.
That's true.
You know, you can just work with the angles.
When the little dots are kind of towards the top, it makes him look mischievous like that. Yeah. But I guess that's Batman in the costume at that point.
True.
Oh, and then you can see why Batman's the world's greatest detective. He says, freeze all recon. Only a soldier would say recon. Ragman must have been in the army. And at his age, he must have been in Vietnam.
And look at his face.
He's so happy with himself. He's like,
That's a
I'm
little
aware.
smug.
Yeah, I'm aware of the Vietnam War. I don't think it
I
took
know
that
what a
much
soldier is.
detective work. Another Atari ad.
We had
I think
Atari.
this is just, let's see, baseball, football, and I don't know what these other games are. I think it's just for the Atari system, it looks like. I don't remember trying an Atari. I think Al had an Atari or something at his house.
So boring.
They weren't very fun games, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it was
Do
like...
modern comics have a letters page? I haven't bought a new
I
comic
haven't
in
bought
years.
Me either. Me either.
That's one thing I always liked looking at when I was a kid, is you'd get bummed that the story was over, but you're like, I can get a little bit more out of it by reading
Read the letters.
these letters.
Understand.
Batman's got to read them all. He must take a lot of time. There's people dying in Gotham. He's like, I got to get through these letters, though, before I solve any of the crime. Anyway, that's the adventures of Ragman and Batman. You want to tell me about the Thing?
Yeah.
And Sasquatch? Or you
Yeah.
want to take a little breather and pause and then do it again?
Yeah, let's pause.
Cool. Oh, it didn't pause. Okay.
Okay, so I read the Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing confronts the power of Sasquatch. I really like the color. Leans into the orange, just
Yeah,
like
two
the
orange
Batman.
characters.
Orange and purple and green. I like it. It's good.
I didn't realize the Sasquatch was so tall.
He's huge.
I-
He's huge.
How do you even hang out with somebody like that? If they're like 3 times your size?
How do you not know where he is?
Yeah.
I mean,
You didn't hear him coming? It wasn't until right then that he turned around. Wait a minute.
what is it?
He's breaking every tree. He took down the whole damn forest. The Thing was one of my favorite, and continues to be one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I always liked him for some reason.
He's gruff, but he's got heart.
I mean, his powers aren't that interesting. He's tough and he's strong, but like, I think the thing that's so interesting about him is that he's so sad because he wants to not be a rock monster.
Yeah.
That's kind of his big appeal, is like, there's not a lot of, I feel, and I guess the Hulk is a little bit like he's cursed with being the Hulk, but it's different. The Thing has to be the Thing all the time. It's not just when he's mad. And
right.
it's like, how do you even use a toilet when you're a big...
And the Hulk wasn't always like
monster.
self-aware either. I mean, for a long time he was just a raving,
That's true.
maniac when he got mad.
Yeah, the Thing doesn't change his personality now that he's
No.
Rock Monster. He's like, I just can't do any of the things I love to do anymore. He used to be a pilot, I think, right? Ben Grimm he piloted the spaceship, and now he's like, well, now I weigh
don't
3
fit.
million pounds, so I just break everything.
Yeah.
That must suck.
Yeah. I didn't, when I first, when we picked this one to read, I didn't remember it. I remembered the characters, but I didn't remember this particular book. But then when I started reading it again, it all kind of came back. And, it kind of reignited a liking. I like the Fantastic Four. They're not my favorite group. They are your favorite group.
They've
one of your
always
favorite.
been one of my favorites.
But it really made me think and made me remember a lot more. It's weird how that happens.
I really
you read
hope
one
they
book
make,
and you remember a lot more.
Oh, yeah. I feel like reading that Batman one, it was like brought me back to when I read it when I was a kid. It was weird.
Yeah.
Like I didn't remember anything about the plot or anything, but I feel like I remembered some of the art and stuff, like some of the images seemed familiar.
Yeah.
I really hope they make a good Fantastic Four movie eventually. Like, there's some that are okay, but I feel like they never
they've
ever
missed
really
the mark.
nailed it, you
No.
know? They never really got it.
No, I never did.
I like the
Never
font on
did.
that Formula 10.
Yeah.
Very, like, 70s looking
Yeah.
to me.
I forgot, too, when I first started reading this, it wasn't until I opened it up and started reading it, and then they started talking about the Sasquatch. This is Alpha Team. I totally...
Alpha Flight?
Alpha Flight. I completely forgot about them. And forgot the Sasquatch
How could you
was a
forget
member.
about such a
I know,
classic
he's so
team?
huge.
Canada's X-Men, Mom.
They're too nice. They're too nice.
It's one of the best things to come out of Canada, besides the Bare Naked Ladies and...
Tim Hortons. So anyway, we'll start. And So this is Tom DeFalco was the writer.
I recognize that name.
Yeah. It goes across.
I think he's been in some of the podcasts that I listen to. They've referred to him. That name's really familiar. Never heard of Ron Wilson.
No.
Chick Stone. Or is it Chic Stone? Chic.
Joe Rosen. George Russo, of course, yeah.
Joe Rosen, he's got that podcast now, doesn't he?
So this is The Thing in Sasquatch. Where stalks the Sasquatch? They kind of short. Where stalks the Squatch?
It's hard to say. Where stalks the Sasquatch? Do you have the new Thing in Sasquatch? Which one? Where stalks the Sasquatch? What? The stalks the Squatch? That's a weird depiction of the thing's face. It has no features. It's all in shadow.
And that's something that I realized with this book and going back is the simplified way that he's drawn really gives him the chance to emote, I think. Because look at his pose. You can tell immediately that something's wrong. And so what happens is Ben was being poisoned. It says here, he met up with...
Giant Man.
Yeah, Giant Man saved his life. Ben was being poisoned by, I can't remember what it was, but radiation. And Giant Man...
Gamma radiation, maybe.
No. Let's see, where does it say? The one thing I did realize about these books is that I cannot read them without my glasses. But he was in a mix-up with, where does it say? Here it is. Yes. And he was being poisoned. And
they made him even uglier somehow.
I know.
That's the thing with the thing that they've done over the years, too, is they make them have further mutations where it's like, you thought you were ugly before.
And that's always what...
It can always be worse then.
Right, it can always...
I like what you said. He's kind of in like a bashful pose there. It's funny to see like a big muscly character that's all like sheepish looking like that. Like the Hulk, I feel like you don't see him in that pose very much where he's got the legs overlapping and his hands behind his back like that. That's kind of goofy.
It really emphasizes his feelings.
We can't just let Giant Man die. He's like, oh, really, Ben? I was just going to let him die. Yep.
Right.
Let him die.
Giant Man finds the cure, but it can only save one. So he has to make the choice. He can save himself
exposed to it.
Or Ben. So he saves Ben, and then he doesn't even have the strength to come back to human size.
Damn.
And so Ben is upset. He gets him to read because he's the only guy, he's the smartest guy in the room, in every room. So Reed is trying. All he can do is kind of stabilize him or not even. He continues to deteriorate. And so Ben leaves. He's Reed, I don't think... Not yet. They don't talk about it yet. But he's leaving. He's feeling really bad about it.
I feel like this is a familiar thing that happens. Is him and Johnny Storm get into some little bickering thing. And this got to be really a big pain in the ass for everyone else in the family. He rips the freaking wall out.
I know. Look at it.
You're a grown man. You can't be ripping the wall out because you're mad at somebody.
Yeah, but it's Johnny
You're going to kill him? He's your brother-in-law or something.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. They're not related. But
he's telling himself, he's like, oh, Ben seems really down. Maybe I could snap him out of it. It's like, really?
He thought that fiery flame, smiley face.
And he's always like picking at him and,
Well, he steals his girlfriend at that one point.
Well, yeah, not in this book, but yeah, I know. He's a jerk.
He is really a jerk.
So anyway, and Ben doesn't want to deal with it, so he instantly gets mad.
Threatens to kill him, as you do. I will crush you with this.
Like you do. And so with him doing that, then Johnny's like, well, really? And then I'm not afraid to flame up. And then...
But what really can... I always thought that...
I've always wanted that.
Stare at the most horrible monster of all time. Go get a magnifying glass now. Stare at the most horrible... I feel like it wouldn't be that scary.
I know. They have a little werewolf down there in the corner. Yeah.
I always liked looking through these. They'd have like the sea monkey ads sometimes.
Oh, yeah, we got
or
sea monkeys
karate.
one time.
I always wanted to learn karate through the mail when I was a kid. Then when I actually went to Kung Fu, it was like, this isn't that much fun. It looked cooler in the comic books.
You mean we have to those rolls? That was the thing.
Yeah, you
that
start
got
off
me.
rolling. It's like somebody attacks you, you're gonna roll away.
I'm
I'm gonna punch somebody or kick them.
Rolling.
But what I was gonna say is, what can the fight like? Even when he gets his hottest, is he really gonna be able to melt his rock? I guess. Like I feel like
Why is a building made out of rock? It's supposed to be.
It does look like it's a big boulder with technology on part of it. It's really weirdly drawn.
But then here comes Mom.
Oh.
Sue comes
It's looking
and breaks
rough.
him up and, scolds her brother. And then Reed comes and, lets him know he's deteriorating. He's not getting any better. But we can look up here in my little handy dandy computer and I have just the guy we need to look for. And so he tells him about Dr. Walter
Lankowski.
Lankowski in Canada. And Ben needs to find him. So instead of just rushing out and going to find him, he goes back to Giant Man looking sad.
He
And,
looks better than that. Like, he'll soon begin exhibiting hours.
soon,
So that's like a simulation of if it doesn't get checked,
but
he's gonna have a goopy mouth.
Yeah,
but he's okay for
he's
now.
deteriorating quickly. So
I guess Ben still can
He
fly
can, he
then.
can. He
Yeah,
gets
they
in a
gave
big
him a
rocket.
special rocket.
although that's their plane. But
Well, they have they have that floating car too. That's more like it has little pods. So this must be a different vehicle. This is just Ben's rocket.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a rock monster. You got to build me a rocket at least to make my life better.
So he's got to go to McGill University to find Dr. Lankowski.
I feel like Canada, New York, not that far away. You don't have to take a rocket. I mean, I don't know what part of Canada McGill is in. Does it say?
I don't know.
I've heard of McGill, but
It's in the woods.
well,
Canada's
got to get there fast, I guess. So you might as well use the rocket.
Use the rocket.
Any excuse to use a
That
rocket.
was a weird image. Ben, this huge, heavy guy walking in a campus building.
He would like be breaking the floor.
Yeah.
He weighs
Like
so
people-
much, I would think.
Look, it's one of those American superheroes. So anyway, he goes, he talks to the guy in charge, the dean or whatever, and says that he's gone, he's out. We don't know if we'll doubt you'll even find him.
Didn't they just talk to him on the video?
No, that was like a database
Okay.
of all the super smart people that Reed Richards knows.
Gotcha.
And so
He's playing hooky. That's what- you got a guy dying and he's out fishing somewhere.
I love the way that Ben Grimm talks.
I do like that landscape. I like the textures. They
the
really
artwork
give
is
it
good.
the hills depth there. That's nice.
So then they cut to where the doctor is, and he and the shaman.
It's kind of a weird facial expression.
Yeah, I know.
It's like trying
His
to let out a fart really
hair's-
quietly. Did the shaman hear me? Flames got very big for a moment. It's a sign.
So he goes with the shaman, and at this point, Alpha Flight is disbanded. But they go out into the woods, and the shaman is feeling something in the air. He's getting these feelings that something's happening, something's going to happen, and it kind of leads you to think that he's thinking that this whole giant man thing, but it is its own story, and
Oh,
so
they just
you go
want you to
on.
read X-Men 140 to figure it out, it looks like.
Yeah. But so they go into a cave where the shaman is searching for his
chamber.
ancestors. Yeah, the ancestors. Thinking, I think, that he's going to find something better than what he does. But anyway, the Sasquatch follows him in and everything, and then he goes back out. And when the Sasquatch turns, the shaman kicks this rock, and then a hidden chamber opens up, and he goes in, and he does find the
the sacred tomb of the ancient shamans.
Yeah.
You know, they better have put that rock switch like way off to the side. What if somebody accidentally stubs their toe? They're like, oh, secret chamber.
Exactly.
My toe really hurts, but I'm going to steal all this stuff. So wait, this guy is Sasquatch?
Well,
he can turn into human form?
Yeah, that's what...
Maybe that's why he has that weird facial expression.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm really holding in the Sasquatch right now.
I better not bend over.
Gas Sasquatch or a liquid Sasquatch.
So he goes back out, and he's walking around kind of just thinking about I've never seen a shaman in such a state before. He's been pushing himself much too hard. If only he could relax like me.
I like how the thing's rocket has the thruster in the back. How the hell does it land straight down like that? Does he like go straight up and then just let the gas off and it just goes straight into the ground?
It's
That's
really
crazy.
strange because he's like, suddenly the doctor sees it and he says, a plane.
That is not a plane.
Yeah. Oh, that should be that. Ooh, odd that it should be flying so low. And then what does he say? Because he does...
It's like a giant vulture on the hunt.
And then what does he say? That
is
ship...
a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle of highly sophisticated design.
I
Okay,
know.
well that explains it. It's vertical.
And it's like, it struck me that his internal monologue is so detailed. It's like...
Is that a vulture? Oh no, it's a vertical landing vehicle of sophisticated design. I get those two confused quite a bit.
Tells so much. His thought bubbles are always very, very full. And so yeah. And he thinks, could this be the menace that the shaman spoke about? Because remember he was saying that he could feel something not good in the air. And
let me guess, they're going to fight. That's a classic thing of team-up things. First, the heroes have a misunderstanding, and they gotta fight each other.
That sets it up. So he takes off all his clothes and sits down on the ground. But it's hilarious how they describe it there.
Well, he probably learned that from the Hulk. He's like, you can control your transformation. Take off all your clothes first. You're going to go through a lot of clothes if you don't do that.
True.
Unless you have an endorsement with some kind of clothier.
And then eventually he's no longer Dr. Walter
Lankowski.
He is Sasquatch. Look how huge he is.
It's really weird how his hair kind of like goes into his lats or whatever that muscle is. Like, it makes his head look really wide.
That probably hurts the most. He was losing his neck.
That's actually not hair. It's all just muscle that goes on top of his head. He worked out so much that he has muscles on his scalp.
And meanwhile, Ben is just walking through the woods. Like, he couldn't see that fire when he landed, like, so close.
He doesn't see that giant orange man.
So he's walking through the woods. He's like, oh, I've been on the go ever since landing. Every time I caught sight of people, hoping against hope to get a line on him. ... But it's like hunting for a gumball on a golf course.
Oh, just like that. Man, the Sasquatch makes Thing look tan. He's orange, and then the Thing is like, I thought the Thing was orange, but he's kind of...
Yeah, he's sad beige
hero. I think the Sasquatch
and look at how
dies.
small Ben is. Hey,
I know.
What's that sound?
You know, that's the thing that always bothered me as a kid with the Thing is I was like, he's so strong and tough. But he's really not compared to a lot of the other people. It's like he's the strongest one in the Fantastic Four, and he's kind of like their tank. But it seems like he kind of exists in a lot of the comics to get beat up and thrown around. And like he'll do something strong just to prove how strong a different character is, that they're even stronger. Because it's like they always make the Hulk be able to beat up the Thing. I'm sure the Sasquatch is about to chuck him across Canada or something. It's like, give the guy a break. Show how strong he is from time to time.
Yeah.
Like, he's really strong, but he's not that strong. That's what they emphasize.
Or
are we about to see?
I love this
panel.
panel.
Maybe I'll be proved wrong.
Snap. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look, who's turning around?
That's what I was going to say.
And then Sasquatch is like,
I like that
good
this
afternoon,
giant guy-
Mr. Grimm. I trust you've been enjoying your afternoon constitutional.
And he didn't hear this giant guy coming except for the one twig that he snapped.
Twig, it's a big white pine.
Snap. Wait, what was that snap?
And he turns around and he's like, holy smokes, what a freak show. Did you step out of, or what freak show did you step out of?
I really feel like you should not be throwing stones in glass houses thing. Don't insult people's appearance when you look like that thing. It's...
Yeah. And he's like, Mr. Grimm, I salute you. The sight of me causes most people to break into panic. Yet you have the presence of mind to attempt a joke. Very commendable.
He's so formal.
I know. He's just, for Sasquatch, who thought?
Sasquatch is not an angry guy. He's
So
very contemplative.
What happens is that they start a little bit of a conversation, and it cuts back to the shaman going into this room, and he is like under the control of some entity, and he doesn't want to open that highly decorative jar, but he
Highly.
but
It's not that decorative.
But he can't stop himself, so he opens it.
Oh, is that one of those vertical landing jars from the ancient vertical people?
And so this vapor comes up and then forms into...
Ranark.
Yes.
He looks pretty
The
similar
Ravager.
to Shaman. He's just meaner looking.
A bigger,
Pinker.
But what happens is when that happens, it jars like the planet, I guess, because the Sasquatch kind of loses balance a little and heads toward Ben.
He thinks he's coming at him. So he punches him in the
old
gut.
Harry is leaping toward me, trying to catch me by surprise. So he hits him first. And so Sasquatch grabs a tree, breaks it off at the trunk, or at the bottom, the roots, and then hits him like a baseball bat.
You think a contemplative guy like that wouldn't kill a perfectly good tree just to hit the thing?
Yeah, and then he's like, there, we're even. I suggest you refrain from any further aggressive actions. And Ben is pissed, and he thinks he's being attacked. So he picks up this boulder, and he's going to throw this boulder at him. And he does, and Sasquatch hits it like a baseball out of the park. And then Ben hits him again, and they go back and forth. But what I really liked about it, and goes back to what you're saying about Ben is just a vehicle for punches, is that the Sasquatch is shocked at how many times he gets back up. Every time he thinks that he hits him and he's out, he gets back up. And he's like, he should be out of it by now. And he keeps coming back. It keeps
Not the
coming
thing.
back. It
He's
keeps
tough.
coming back.
He'll get beat up for the entire issue and have no problem with it.
He just keeps going. It
What
keeps
else
going.
has he got going for him? It's tough. It's kind of weird that the thing is made of rocks and he throws rocks.
And he throws rocks.
It's like, come on, get more nuance to your personality, man. You're all about the rocks.
And the Sasquatch can break up the
he can
boulders.
break rocks. Damn.
But he keeps hitting, and he keeps hitting. And it
That's
even
like
talks.
when your kids, like Brenna would be like, this piece of paper is you. And crush it. That's what he's doing. See this rock? You think I can only break this one? I can break all rocks, man.
You're the rock.
This is your head.
So anyway, they keep going, and the Sasquatch even talks about when he gets hit, like, oh, my jaw's gonna be hurting for a week.
He hasn't felt that bad since his battle with the Hulk.
Yeah.
In Hulk Annual 8. They're always selling you the other issues. I gotta go see that. Hulk Annual 8. See why his
He's
jaw
like,
hurts.
what does it take to get this man to stop? And he's so little.
They're gonna be too exhausted to even fight the bad guy.
Yeah. Or well, he's got to save Giant Man. So then it goes.
Does he only hang out with super strength people? Giant Man, like he likes big guys with strong that are strong. He's a small guy and he's strong.
And he's strong.
It's like I need a taller companion.
So then we go back to the shaman, and he's trying his best to get the evil back in the decorative jar.
Things?
They're totems. He's using his magic, trying to do spells. But this guy, his story is that he kind of sold his soul to a whole bunch of evil, dark things. And then he became the strongest shaman around. So all the other shamans teamed together and then
trapped him in
trapped
that
him.
jar. The highly decorative one.
The highly decorative jar. And
It just says, don't
so
open.
when he's doing his little talking about his story and telling his tale, the shaman is trying this spell, but it doesn't do anything. It he just brushes it off like it's a gnat. And so the shaman looks, he's wondering, well, what's happened since I've been gone? So he goes into the shaman's mind and sees the state of the world and the earth and pollution and political strife and the dirty towns and he just gets really upset by it. And he's like, I've slept too long. The new world is a travesty, an abomination.
What is this back bacon?
It must be purified. So he goes out into the world. And then we go back and you see the Sasquatch, trying to get through to Ben. Grim, I never intended to fight. I only wanted to question you and learn what your purpose here.
As he continues to fight him.
Whack! Fall, blast you! Fall! And he's like, I did it. I beat him. He goes, don't go sweeping up the pot yet, big guy. And then, there's still a better at the table. And Sasquatch just can't believe how much Ben can take. But then he's there for a reason,
I feel like that's the tough thing about writing these. It must be tough writing these kind of stories because you can't make either of the heroes look bad. Like, nobody wants to see one definitively lose, so you got to make them both like, this one dealt a lot of damage, but this guy can take so much, or, you know what I mean? Or they fight to a standstill or whatever. Because then, you don't want to alienate any of the readers where, like, one's like, oh, I really want to see the thing win. And no way, Sasquatch can really kick his ass. And, you got to kind of play down the middle.
Exactly, yeah. And they're both good guys. It's just one of them thinks...
I mean, how good can they be? He's like, I don't want to fight you. Bam, 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 bam. They're too stubborn.
So anyway, as they're fighting, here comes the real bad guy.
Uh-oh.
I love Ben's expression here.
That's a really good one. That reminds me of
he has no teeth,
the old like Jack Kirby art style. That there.
Yeah,
that's weird. What's going on in there? Those are like spit strands or something.
Yeah, that's weird.
Does he have saliva? That's what I want to know. Does he have a tongue? He must if he can talk. Does he have like a rock windpipe?
Ugh.
You think he'd have little pebbles for teeth or something?
Yeah. That rock
really
guy in Thor. Did he talk?
Oh, yeah. He talk. What is that guy's name? He talks. He talks all the time. He has like a New Zealand accent. He's the Taika Waititi is the director. He does the voice of it. I can't remember that character's name right now.
So, anyway, he comes out and he looks down, and to him, Sasquatch and the Thing are like insects.
Damn, the Thing was having an inferiority complex about his size before, and now he's really pissed.
You gotta change those underwear.
Everybody in Canada is so big.
And so he takes off. He's like, I've got a world to conquer, a planet to ravage.
And he's giant? Damn.
Yeah, so then these guys are like, but where's Shaman? What's happened to him?
Maybe if you guys stopped fighting, you could have helped him.
Yeah, exactly.
Frustrating.
And then, he's like, he shrugged us off like we was nothing. And he was right. Mr. Grimm, we must put our petty differences aside and join forces.
Wham. Now we're even.
He's like, but I doubt even our combined might can stop a god gone mad.
Oh, is yours a cliffhanger? Yeah, I thought Alpha Flight disbanded. They say you got to check out the power of Alpha Flight. They're going to get back together. Oh, yeah. I always like these Hostess. Or no, it's for Twinkies this time. Yeah. I thought it was a Hostess fruit pie. Yeah,
Captain Marvel.
Nothing more appetizing than a giant flea. Makes me want to eat a Twinkie. What's that? Good grief. It's the giant flea market eating flea. He devoured the English town flea market last month. Run. There's Captain Marvel. Run. Can he... Run. Can he save us? That's an awkward pose. His arm's a little too close to his side or something. He's taking stuff off our stands without even bargaining. Couldn't even haggle with us. Knock it off. He's trying to help. Look, Captain Marvel's building a trap. Yeah, but what's going to make the flea fall for the trap? With the help of these Golden Hostess Twinkies cakes, I'll make him an offer he can't refuse. He puts a horse's head in his bed. Now this flea is sleeping with the fishes. These Twinkies cakes. I would have just said Twinkie cakes. These Twinkies cakes,
that's
both plural, are irresistible. The light golden sponge cake and creamed filling. I would have said creamy. The creamed, like past tense. Like we creamed the filling. It's no longer cream, but it was.
It was cream at one point.
They're delicious. That guy looks evil.
Yeah.
He's like, ew, these Twinkies are making me evil.
I feel creamed.
We're saved thanks to some ingenious flea bargaining and these Hostess Twinkie cakes. Wow. Yep. I wish Twinkies tasted better. Well, they taste good. They just make me feel like I have a bellyache after I eat one of them.
Yeah.
The ever-loving blue-eyed letters page. That's what they would always say with the thing. The ever-loving blue-eyed thing. They give them baby blue eyes.
Yeah.
It says one point of pride.
I always wanted to order all that stuff.
A felt patch would be cool. Dead end. That wolf.
Mini police badge.
Fake cockroach set. Looks real. Vampire blood. Look at that derpy kid. Smoking pet really works. As a dog smoking a cigarette.
My dad did that to us with his binoculars.
Really?
Go look outside.
That's hilarious. Fake doggy do.
Fake parking tickets. Man, the things you could do back then.
I wonder if Nostalgia Emporium is still in Indiana, in Indianapolis. We could go there.
Oh, that would be
cool. Field trip.
Yeah. That would be really cool.
Bring this issue in. Hey, I saw you in here. Took me 40 years. Oh, that's a pretty cool Lego set. Yeah. I didn't know they had such a... I didn't know they had this detailed of Legos
that looks like,
in the 80s.
That looks like...
That looks like a more like something I would have saw in the 90s or something.
Yeah, that drawing is intense. It looks metallic.
Definitely not kids stuff. Oh, that's the expert builder. That's right at the top. I missed it. Well, which one do you think you liked more, and why? This one was a little goofier. Ragman just as a character. Well, Sasquatch is pretty goofy too.
Yeah, I mean, they both have their... I don't know. Loving comics, I like them both.
Yeah, I liked them both too. I feel like the villain in yours was a little more interesting. I'd rather have like a super powerful shaman. I'd rather read about that than... The terrorists or whatever were interesting, but it never really explained what they wanted. They're just like, we kidnapped this lady, and now we're robbing the banker family. I was like, didn't you kidnap her to get the ransom? I guess they didn't want to get the ransom, and they brainwashed her, and then... Like, what do they want? They're just dynamiting people for democracy. They didn't give you much
time with her.
They should have told them we can all vote. You don't have to dynamite everyone. Did you ever try to win these sweepstakes? Did you send away to get a bike or anything?
No.
I always wanted to. I would read these as a kid and be like, I wonder if they could still send something in.
When you were a kid, you won the Lion King in a box of cereal.
Really?
Yeah, the VHS.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was the only time. But yeah, no, I like them both in different ways. I like the drawing style of both of them.
I was kind of surprised at how similar they were. For being very, people like to emphasize the difference between Marvel and DC. And they're not similar in a bad way, but like I think because they're both team-up books.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conventions of the team-up book of like either one, the lesser-known guy gets to help the more established character, or they duke it out and you get to be like, oh, the heroes are fighting. Who's going to win?
Right.
And then they inevitably team up to fight the greater evil or whatever.
I was a little surprised that this one, The Thing is Sasquatch, was going to be a two-parter. I mean, it says, it kind of...
Well,
but
I think that's good, because this one felt like it wrapped up a little too quickly. At the end, like I was saying with the lady changing her mind, like, I can't possibly shoot Ragman and Batman. I feel like it could have developed over a couple of issues. We could hear the Ragman call people scum and stuff more. Like, if it wasn't for me, these poor bastards.
This human
these
garbage
human refuse. These human turds flushed in the toilet with these arrogant rats. Look at that rat over there. Thinks he's so big. I love the font that the Sasquatch is written in there.
Yeah.
It looks hairy. It looks like it's got some texture to it.
Yeah.
They could do like a Sasquatch, if he had his own book, they could get like a promo issue where they have texture like fur on the lettering.
That would
Wouldn't
be
cool?
freaky.
The thing could have a rock letter.
That would be cool.
I feel like the things,
Emboss it.
they've got a little bit of these notches to make it look like rocks, but I feel like they could do a little bit more with that
And
logo.
they might,
Yeah, depending on the issue. I bet they do it differently. But, that you're right, they do get a lot of expressiveness for being very basic. Like, he's really just this giant brow and beady eyes. He does have a nose and a mouth.
Because, look
at
at how there's that separation of his brow. It's like...
Yeah, it's like, how do you see clearly? Your brows are like going, your big rock
And they
brows
have it
going over
here,
your
too.
eye. Yeah.
But, even this pose...
So are his eyeballs
sad.
the only thing that are not rock on
And
him?
he looks like a big soccer ball. But he really emotes.
I know, the little geometric rock things make him look like he's made of orange soccer balls sometimes. I like when he's a little... That kind of looks more... My memory of, the really old Fantastic Fours. Sometimes they make him more lumpy like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's part of his story, isn't it? When they come back... And Reed tries to help him.
Oh, and doesn't he make it worse? It's like they say he's the smartest man in the world.
I
But
like him with that big brow and
I like that design a lot too. I remember this guy. I've seen this little B logo guy in a lot of our old comics. Robert Bell must be. No, it's a price list. Over 100,000 comics in stock. But yeah, this character, it's like Thor with a B.
Yeah. But no,
it's that Columbia bike you can win.
At first I kind of thought...
I wonder who won that bike. If you're watching this podcast and you won this bike, you can tell us what it was like.
I still have that bike.
Poems set to music. Oh, I've heard about this. Let our staff of professional songwriters turn your words into a song. Send your best poems for prompt consideration. Free examination. Ooh. I've heard... I don't know if it was a documentary I watched or something, or if it was a... YouTube, like a short thing, but yeah, I saw something where they talked about this business was big for a while, where they would kind of prey on amateur, people who wanted to be musicians but couldn't play an instrument or sing very well, and they'd write songs and they'd record them, and they would be pretty bad oftentimes. But maybe it was a This American Life or something. I don't remember, but it was an interesting thing. There was a lot of good action in this one, I'll say.
A lot, yeah.
A lot of good rock throwing.
One thing that I think that stands out even with this guy is, in the 90s where everybody got so muscular. I don't know, this simpler style gives more movement, I think.
Oh yeah.
There's more expressiveness in the lines, and I love them. And both of these comics they're just a year apart in the 80s. There's a similarity. You can tell that they were...
Well, there's something to be said for, letting the reader kind of fill in with their imagination. Mm-hmm. You don't have to draw every vein on their bicep or whatever for us to understand that they're muscular and strong. Sometimes less is more, I guess. I did not even notice the silhouette of a person there. I was like, he became like some kind of lightning ball or something. But I guess, there's a person in there. He can just take off and fly. Geez, how are two super strong guys going to fight this magic guy? We'll
Well-
have to dig out the second issue. I'm sure we have it down there.
But they give you a hint in his story, in his origin story. All the other shaman had to team up, and both of these
the power
guys
of cooperation,
are parts of teams.
power of friendship.
So
I think they get along better. They're both orange.
I wonder if we have the comic book, the next part. And I
we
wonder
do. We have a few of these team ups.
what happens if both teams come together to put him down. You know, put him back in the highly
I hope
decorative
Puck
pot.
comes. Do you remember Puck from
Yes.
Alpha Flight? He's like the little midget, but he's agile. He can like bounce around and stuff.
He's like
There's
a
one
bullet.
Alpha Flight cover where he's like bouncing around the cover, I remember.
I liked Alpha Flight.
Do you think these guys are like, it's like when you meet somebody that's got too similar a personality to you. It's like, I'm the orange guy. Come on.
But
It's
they're
kinda my
completely
thing.
different.
Yeah, that's true. His speech is so formal. and,
Lankowski,
like,
yeah, he's just too
very,
so
like-
smart. He's like Reed.
It's a little too.
No wonder him and Reed know about each other.
Reed's probably like, I wish you were my orange strong friend. We're on the same wavelength. This Ben is so stupid. He says was W-U-Z. Can you believe it? What an idiot.
He's back at the tower. Sasquatch.
Ben comes in. He's like, what are you doing? Are you writing Sasquatch a letter? Damn it, Reed.
Is that a
Pulls
heart?
the wall out again. I'll kill you. That's what you do to everything.
Yeah, I liked him. I had a good time reading.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. All right.